All right, you are tuned into MMA Canada and very excited to be talking to an individual competing on the final UFC card of the calendar year. It transpires on December 13th and is a UFC Fight Night offering with one of the more intriguing contests on that card for my money, coming with Luana Santos taking on Melissa Croden in a bantamweight contest. And great having Melissa back on MMA Canada. How are you doing, Melissa?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
No, I'm doing well. Just it's really cool because I'd seen after your big UFC debut win, there was the desire to get the quick turnaround and everything like that. So cool that this was able to fall into place. I saw you were looking to get an even quicker turnaround in November there with Luana, but the bout being rescheduled and everything. Good to see you get the quick turnaround all the same though.
Yeah, I definitely wasn't expect to having my prayers answered for having a quick turnaround like that, especially when they initially told me it was gonna be November 8th. But yeah, I wasn't medically cleared from the commission to take the November 8th card. However, I did say yes and was ready to go. And then, yeah, for whatever reason, the commission wouldn't allow for it. So they just decided to reschedule it. So more time to work, which is totally okay with me.
Yeah, there's something exciting about getting to have another fight within, the same calendar year, especially in such, close proximity. I would think that for certain fighters who got a victory in October, the idea of getting in one more in the calendar year, like it could be feasible, maybe not. So yeah, cool that you're, gonna have that opportunity. That has to be, quite exciting for you and seems to be based on how you're, talking about it and all.
Yeah, I'm really excited at the opportunity that was given to me. I'm glad that they thought of me when that short notice came up. So I'm lucky that way because not a lot of fighters get to have such opportunities. A lot of people, excuse me, are sat and stuff like that for some time, and it can be frustrating. So at this point, I know I'm probably realistically, on the tail end of my career based on things. So I'm like, let's just take them as they come. Let's do as many fights as we can, as long as I'm injury free and healthy and all that. So that's gonna be my plan for the next year is to just see how many I can take in a year and just really make up for lost time because for a while my career was pretty stagnant and I was fighting like once a year or something crazy like that. So I would like to make up for that lost time and why not now? Why not while I'm in the UFC, right? So
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking too, because I remember when we were first talking, there was so much of the, you know, 12 years of build leading into the debut moment and everything that comes along with it. So I would think that that would embolden, greater desire to want to have that strong, strength of schedule and stuff like that. Like I would think you would have wanted that anyway, but I mean, it's an interesting landscape because I guess when you're on like more like regional circuits, outside promotions, it can sometimes be harder to get certain matches locked in and whatnot. But now that you're in the UFC, that would be presumably far less of an issue, if not an outright non-issue. So yeah, just great to see that whole build and everything, and makes sense that you would want to capitalize on it in the way you just outlined there.
yeah, and I think it like entirely I think it depends too on if people are entertained by you. At the end of the day, it's an entertainment business, and if you're not an entertaining fighter, then I think you're less likely to be looked at. But I think so long as I keep doing what I'm doing, I know it's a different level. Like I'm not going to be able to get finishes all the time. I mean, obviously, I would love to keep that finishing rate at 100%, but like it's once you're in the UFC, it's like a completely different caliber of what you're dealing with. And like I understand that and I'm not like deluded enough to think that like, oh, I'm gonna be able to put everyone to sleep. That's not the reality of what it's gonna be like. But I think as long as you're entertaining, excuse me, um, yeah, you're more likely to be booked and have quicker turnarounds. And if you have the right attitude and stuff like that, attitude's everything at this point. So,
Yeah, and I would think that a certain amount of what you just talked about was really embodied in your debut performance, which maybe kind of put you in the UFC's purview in that kind of short notice context. Because it really seemed like you fired up the crowd quite a bit. I felt like you had one of the more exciting performances there and getting the finish in, the later stages and all. Can you just talk about that debut at UFC Vancouver? That would kind of strike me as the consummate debut effort in a way.
Yeah, it was quite the experience being able to fight in on home soil like that and having an entire stadium cheer you on and have your back and really want to see you do well was really cool because I did again I know it's rare, like it was pretty much uh the most perfect the most perfect debut you could possibly make because it was on in my home country. Like it's really close to Calgary where I'm from, so a lot of my friends and family were able to make it. And yeah, so I really soaked that moment in, and it'll carry on with me for the rest of my life. I won't ever forget that.
And it looked like you had quite the output too. Like I saw this Instagram account called Stats Fight was purporting that you were the most accurate striker on the card with 149 landed strikes. So I mean, quite impressive to, say the least, in addition to the nature of the win that you just kind of touched on.
Yeah, that's pretty cool to start having like those stats come out and start thinking about things like that, like how you compare to other fighters and whatnot when you're fighting on such an elite level of martial arts. But yeah, I think it's a testament to my striking skills, especially since it was against another skilled striker. So yeah, I plan to keep on being the exciting striking fighter that I am, and possibly for this fight, you'll probably see some of my grappling as well. I think because I haven't had a chance to use my grappling because I haven't had to use it in a lot of my fights. Like it might be overlooked or not really thought about, but you don't get to the UFC without knowing how to wrestle or do jujitsu or understand how any of that works. So yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, no, for sure. So much potential here and everything. And I also think there's a cool component to this one just being, I guess, in reference to like the rankings hierarchy and stuff like that, just with your opponent kind of being within that fold there and everything. That would be kind of a cool thing to, find yourself in the rankings hierarchy kind of heading into 2026. I mean, I wouldn't imagine that's something you're, I guess, thinking about a fair bit because it's ultimately not in your control per se, and it's aggregated by whoever does the rankings. But all the same would probably still be a cool thing to head into the new year with and everything.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's a new thing to think about, it's a new thing to consider and new goals to be had, right? Like I think it would be, as far as I understand, like if I am successful against Luana, then I would potentially be within the top 15 after my second fight in the UFC, which is, you know, I feel like is a fast track to that top 10. Like who knows if things go well, like I could be in the top 10 pretty quickly if I keep, finding these successful moments. So I'm ready for the ride. If God wills it and that's what I'm meant to do, then I'm ready for it.
Yeah, I guess I'm kind of looking at your upcoming opponent here, Luana Santos. Like, what are your, I guess, broader thoughts on what they bring to the table as far as like skill set and general resume? Someone else who has a win over Tainara Lisboa, and yeah, been in the UFC for a little bit now with some prior LFA experience. Like, what are your thoughts on the resume and general skill set from Santos heading into this fight?
She's well-rounded. Yeah, I respect her immensely as a fellow martial artist. I know that she specializes in judo, so that's what, everybody is going to be, if you were to prepare against her, like everyone's going to be focusing on the defense on those throws and whatnot, and wall work and that sort of stuff. So becoming when people are specialists that way, it's kind of you kind of have to flip your mind instead of being afraid of, oh, what are they so good at, rather than, okay, they spent so much time getting good at one thing, which means they haven't spent a lot of time in other aspects of the fight game. So, but regardless, she's well rounded. She knows what she's doing in there. She's been, doing really well in her fights. She is coming up from 125 125, like having most of her fights at 125, I believe. So I think again I'm gonna have the size advantage, but there's that doesn't always mean everything, right? Like I'm well aware of like my strengths and weaknesses against this particular person. So I'm really excited about the challenge. Like I'm glad that she's good because if I do well, it means just that much more.
Yeah, for sure. And it's just cool the mentality too, because I was going through like a feature piece that was done more so heading into UFC debut, but seems especially applicable to this one, like referencing a podcast you were listening to that Michael Bisping did, where he was like, oh, well, what's a fight camp? Like, you got to be ready to fight whenever. Like, that's kind of what you train for. And I feel like that's kind of
Mhm.
embodied by this quick turnaround effort, and especially against such a pedigreed opponent, no less.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like I feel like I've always known that I was gonna fight a grappling specialist at some point. So that's something I've always known that would be a challenge for me. So here we are. It was only a matter of time, and yeah, I've thought about it since I started MMA. I always knew I was more of a striker, if you will, in MMA, but it was just something I preferred to do. But it doesn't mean that I don't, you know, acknowledge the rest of fighting. So yeah, it'll be cool, I think. I think it's a really good match.
Yeah, absolutely. And this isn't necessarily directly related to this upcoming fight, but a past opponent of yours from LFA, kind of referencing that promotion again. I'd just be curious to, I guess, get your thoughts if you happen to, see this video going around. Jacqueline Cavalcanti actually had a video where she inadvertently knocked out her sparring partner, Artur William, and kind of been making the rounds a little bit, like a few
Mhm.
people commenting on it and stuff like that. I guess just
Yeah,
presuming
with
you
the
saw
knee,
that.
right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I just saw that a couple days ago. Yeah, I mean, Jacqueline and I went the distance, so we fought for 25 minutes straight. She dropped me in the first round, and I know Jacqueline is Luana's training partner. I imagine she's given her lots of information about me. I've worked with John Wood, Luana's coach, in like 2021 or something. I was living in Vegas for a couple months, and he's held pads for me. He's watched a lot of my sparring, but again, like I completely have changed how I fight and I kind of hope they think I fight like that still. So that would be good, but I know that they have a good team and like I'm sure they do their research and everything and they're going to be well prepared just like I'm well prepared for her.
Yeah, I mean that fight happened a meaningful amount of time ago, enough to where there's probably an entirely new blueprint. So yeah, hopefully they're not thinking it's just the same old scenario from
Yeah.
before.
Well, I kind of hope so because
Yeah, yeah.
it's good to for people to underestimate, but I don't think they're going to underestimate me. I think they're going to come with the right game plan. Like, of course, I'm nervous. I'm feeling all these things, just like any fight that you prepare for. Like, you're always thinking, like, what if this how happens? What if that happens? But again, for me, it's been like a lot of mindset change where it's like instead of oh what if she takes me down, oh no, like it's not like oh no I'm not afraid of that, it's more so like okay good, if she takes me down I know what to do, I've been here before, like um I'll be able to like utilize it to my advantage. I'm more welcoming of the grappling exchanges that are inevitably going to happen and stuff like that, and if it stays on the feet, great. I love striking, I love a good kickboxing war in the cage. So
Yeah, and I mean demonstrated very much so in the debut for sure, and just the overall body of work. But I guess tying the debut in with this sophomore UFC fight, because I was kind of referencing the fight that you had in front of like a raucous, super excited partisan crowd cheering you on. Like I feel like for some fighters this weighs more into the situation than it does for others, but I feel like I'd be curious to get your thoughts all the same, because the UFC Apex a much more compact, tight kind of space in that regard, like not the same kind of inspired by the fervor of the crowd type of energy. Is that something that like factors into your situation at all? Does it matter in any demonstrable way at all, or you'll just fight wherever kind of thing?
um I think I think fighting at Rogers Arena in Vancouver I don't expect any other fight to feel like that because it was like such a special moment for me. I don't think you can recreate that. So for me, like understanding that and moving forward, I know that this fight at the Apex, it's probably going to feel different, which is totally fine. Like, I know that she's probably going to have lots of people that are cheering her on there, and it's a smaller venue and whatnot. So I'll probably be able to hear my coaches and her coaches a little bit more clearly. So yeah, I think it's just a different experience. It's not like good or bad. It's just different is all. But um I've definitely thought about it a little bit, not too much, but I don't think it'll affect my performance in any way. But fighting in Vancouver was definitely way more fun. I know that for sure. Because like to me, that's like, yeah, that was cool. That was the coolest experience ever. People cheering you on like that.
Yeah, no, such an exemplary moment in the career and probably the life journey overall for sure. And yeah, no, just super excited to see you get one more in this calendar year. And something we were kind of touching on the first time we were talking ahead of the UFC debut there at the very least. Like there was talk of that Nunes-Harrison fight. And around that time, it hadn't been officially announced. It was like seeming like an inevitability, but not officially confirmed. I feel like I've seen some, I guess, controversy from some people around the idea that it's not an outright main event and that it's more in that co-main event kind of capacity. Do you have any thoughts on that, perhaps, like the card placement hierarchy consideration?
I feel like it's deserving of a main event. I mean, they're both Kayla Harrison and Amanda Nunes, like they're both top of their game. So I think it's deserving of a main event, but who knows who makes these decisions? I just feel like they do it based off of how they're feeling that day. I don't know. Who knows? But regardless, I think it's going to be a sick fight to watch. Like they're both so talented, and they're both like monsters in the game. They're both big, they're both strong, and they've been doing it for so long. They're both used to winning, so it's one of those fights that will be really fun to watch.
Yeah, no, it's great. And I feel like it injects a certain level of enthusiasm into 135, which we did kind of talk about last time as well. Just, yeah, great to see that. It seems like a lot of like timing considerations are really, I guess, factoring into this in a positive way, like even just with your career journey and some of the outside peripheral happenings and stuff like that. It just seems like an exciting time to be part of all this.
Yeah, it definitely brings light to the division itself as a whole. Like there's a lot of talented girls in the bantamweight division in the UFC, so maybe it'll be, yeah, like I think there's definitely more movement more recently than there has been before. But I think that's like that with every division. They all kind of like have their moments and they peter off and come back. It just depends on who's in the limelight at the time and bringing attention to it. So
Yeah, exactly. Just the natural cyclical patterns of the sport. Like sometimes the division can be like so deep, and then other times it's just the natural ebb and flow of just life in general, for sure.
yeah, yeah, it's definitely a reflection of how everything works. Things come, things go. That's just how life is.
Yeah, absolutely. And just yeah, this is such an exciting fight, and I'm happy to see you get one more this calendar year. Just how long the journey leading up to the UFC had been, and just seeing that you're going to have a chance to get two fights in such close proximity, just very exciting times. But I do want to be mindful of your time and schedule too, Melissa. So, is there perhaps a final parting thought you were inclined to kind of add as we're wrapping up? I appreciate you giving such great insights on the MMA Canada platform today.
I think we covered a good amount of stuff. Yeah, I'm excited to get one more in last card of the year. So that's kind of cool. I think a lot more people will tune in just because of that. Everyone's getting geared up for the holidays and there won't be as much MMA throughout. So yeah, I'm excited. Happy to be here and happy to yeah have talked to people like you about this. And thanks for including me on your podcast once again. It was good talking to you.
Yeah, no, of course I love covering combat sports, and I have a special soft spot for Canadian combat sports and everything like that. And this Luana Santos fight exciting for a number of reasons. Like I said, potential rankings implications, last card of the calendar year. So yeah, definitely stoked that I was able to get some of your time and talk to you on the MMA Canada platform today. So thank you, Melissa. I'm looking forward to checking this fight out when it goes down. But until then, have a good rest of your night, and thank you.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.